irrespective of any trends that are out there, one thing you should never do is overlook the fundamentals.
You're listening to 15-Minute Mastery, a show that empowers you with insights from leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blast and supported by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, Lala Stars, the leading casino partnership program, and Next.io, the world's iGaming community. Hey everyone, and welcome to 15-Minute Mastery. Today we have a very special guest, Marija Hammon. Marija is the marketing director for a B2B games provider, Relax Gaming. She has some great insights to share about marketing for game providers because they're doing a very great job. We're excited to learn from her expertise today. Welcome, Marija.
Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
I'm a huge fan of your marketing, and probably this was one of the episodes I was really looking forward to create because there are so many things to learn from you, but I want to start with the very basics. How much has B2B marketing evolved in the iGaming space over the last 5 years, and what are Relax doing specifically to drive this forward?
B2B marketing has definitely evolved significantly, and part of that has been forced in some ways due to increased competition and also to some degree commoditization of product. It's involved in numerous ways. However, if we really had to boil it down to three main areas, I would say that those include use of data to support ROI decisions and critical analysis of spend, social media truly taking center stage in terms of networking and also building communities. This helps from a brand perspective and also when it comes to increasing visibility on product or service launches. And thirdly, from a supplier perspective, it's also down to embracing and engaging the end consumer, albeit through streamers and affiliates at arm's reach. So in a nutshell, B2B has really just had to sharpen up. And in terms of Relax specifically and our approach to marketing, as a company, our slogan is driving differentiation. So we always aim to really be ahead of the curve in every way. But when it comes to our practices, we really just know who we are. We know who we are speaking to, and we know how to deliver with impact.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And I really like the fact that you mentioned a certain commodification of the games in the market. And this is where your logo and you games should be so much more recognizable than the other game providers in the lobby. So the players are more tending to click on these certain games. So it leads me to the next question, which I think you guys are really killing in this direction, is the brand identity itself. So what are the key elements of the brand identity for game providers and how it's different from the other businesses in iGaming?
I think we need to start by actually addressing brand identity in itself so that everybody in the audience understands what we are referring to. And here, ultimately, we're talking about your image, your positioning, your reputation, and how an audience feels about you. So, of course, a strong brand has to resonate, and building trust is the red thread. When it comes to game providers specifically, we actually have to wear two hats that complement each other and support each other. These two hats are the B2B, more consumer-centric corporate brand hat, so to speak, and then the B2C product-centric end-user hat. In simple terms, different audiences want different things and find different importances in a brand. So it's important to bear that in mind and keep that as a focus. As an example, a term like speed to market means a significant amount to an operator, whereas high payout frequency means much more to a player. And as a provider, key elements of your brand identity need to be product-centric. So you have to be entertaining, you have to build that trust that we already mentioned. And at the moment, with hundreds of games in a catalog, that is, of course, a challenge.
Wow, I really like your approach and dividing this into two, I'd say, big marketing strategies on its own. So I really want to dig deeper into these 2. So how do you, first of all, approach marketing game providers from the B2B perspective? How kind of you run it, and what strategies have you found the most effective?
We obviously maintain a wider approach when it comes to our marketing. So we understand that you can't simply look at one channel and expect to deliver a winning campaign. You have to approach everything from an integrated marketing perspective. So when it comes to our B2B efforts, we again focus on building that strong message that's going to stick. Our approach to B2B is different to B2C, of course, but we always drive a strong message at the core.
I love it. And so the messaging is one of the beats of the strategy, but what kind of, I don't know, mediums or tactics you find the most effective in the B2B marketing perspective?
I would say that when it comes to B2B, we of course focus a lot on our communications efforts. So media, our industry media channels, our press releases are of importance, as are our editorials from an educational perspective. Then we have our email marketing efforts when we have a direct campaign that we would like to push out to our operators. And we have social media as a key strategy, as I mentioned as well. So there's a lot of dynamics that come into play. We have bespoke events. We, of course, have industry conferences that we attend to. So all of that feeds into the B2B narrative.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's slowly go to the B2C part. So I think the B2C part for so many operators is still something completely undiscovered. So I really want to hear your perspective, because you guys are probably one of the best in the world in working with the B2C side of things. So can you explain how B2C marketing works for game providers in iGaming and why it's so important?
Of course. As I mentioned earlier, that is one of the touch points where we can actually directly communicate to the end user, and building interest with them then allows us to pitch to the operator that we already have a game that has interest. And of course, our affiliate partners and our streamer partners are extremely important here. That's always been a key part of our strategy, but it has increased even more in recent years. We work with a lot of different affiliates and streamers, and we even collaborate on a game design perspective with affiliates and streaming partners, such as Casino Daddy, who we are about to launch our third game with in December.
Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so now I want to try to kind of understand the intersection between these two parts and how do they fuel one another. So, from your experience, how does B2C marketing influence B2B relationships, and how we can innovate more? So, you mentioned streamers, you mentioned forums. So, how can you see these two parts influencing each other, but most importantly, B2C, and how we can innovate?
Of course. So without sounding like a broken record, we've already alluded to the increase of competition within the space. And of course, that the objective for any game provider is to grasp that interest in the game, whether it's from an operator who's going to help to push, or from a consumer who will ultimately play the game. Product success, and therefore financial success, boils down in many ways to that B2C effort. You could have the best product in the world, but if it's not positioned well, then it's not going to get noticed. The same thing applies for a bottle of shampoo. If you have a top-notch product that's positioned way down on the bottom shelf, no one's going to see it. The same thing applies for a game. So fighting for lobby space has never been so fierce, and command for operator spending has never been so tough. Operators want to push a product that's known for success, and that might in some ways actually stifle that innovation that you were asking about, as it's perceived as a bit of financial risk if something is a little more unknown or a little more unique. So unless unique products or services actually get that operator buy-in, they're not going to succeed. And ultimately, if we want to see more innovation within B2C marketing, then it really starts with B2B commanding more in operator knowledge and also trust. But that really doesn't happen overnight. So it's something that we have to actively work on. Suppliers have always focused on the push side of the product. So from our perspective, to be more innovative, we really need to focus on the pull with the players who are demanding that and wanting to play your product. I mean, ultimately, I want to play that game is a whole lot more powerful than please play my game. So I think that's something that's really important for people to bear in mind as well. And this can only really happen through unique promotions and engaging frequently and transparently with the end consumer, and also collaborating with affiliates and streamers, like we've already mentioned. As I mentioned already, one of the good examples would be our collaboration with Casino Daddy, for example, from a game production perspective. Products like this then create a pull and give operators a game that is ready and waiting with an audience that wants to engage.
Wow, I absolutely love it. I think you just created a new framework on how game providers should approach their life cycle, because you mentioned the old approach where please play our game because the game is number one in the lobby, against where is that game because I want to play that game. I think it's creating like a whole world of difference, because if you look at, some traditional marketing products, so you mentioned shampoo, and this whole concept is exactly comes from any other niche, and this is where you don't really need to create demand or inorganically. This is where you need to acquire and capture that demand. So I absolutely love what you just mentioned. Like, you being a very innovative from the brand marketing perspective game provider. And sometimes it's very hard to stand out in the competitive market, and it comes with a lot of challenges. So how do you overcome these challenges, and what kind of challenges you face?
I think that if you're a company that stands behind quality, dedication to build, and everything else, then of course you have to make operators aware that that is something that they need to be excited about. Quality and innovation will always shine through, but it needs a bit of help and an extra push to really get there. And as a software provider, you're launching perhaps multiple games per month. And I mean, sometimes we're talking about 8 to 10 games. And if you want to really build campaigns that stick and that have an effect, in my opinion, it boils down to being honest and being selective, really looking at your portfolio and your roadmap and picking one game per quarter or one game per month if you're starting with this concept, and really putting all your energy behind making that one game a huge success. Because if you try to apply the same kind of push and the same efforts to all of them, those campaigns are very likely to fall flat, versus really just zoning in and focusing on that one game that you've selected. So I think that's what it boils down to for me. I mean, in a nutshell, it's just that selective approach and driving through a winning campaign that resonates.
Yeah, absolutely love it. It feels like we found out just now like a very interesting step-by-step frameworks on how to, first of all, market, and then obviously to identify and build a certain list of games you can really dive into like a full speed ahead. I absolutely love your wisdom, Maria, and I think, this has been one of my favorite episodes so far in terms of, the amount of know-how we just, embedded. And I think this will be very interesting for our audience as well.
I have one last thing that I would like to add, actually. Bonus tip for everybody. I think, in my opinion, when you're looking at marketing campaigns, you really need to focus on having clearly defined objectives. And the way that I run campaigns personally with my team is to root absolutely everything in a key message which is strong. So once you have that key message locked down and you know that that says what it is and that it's going to grab attention, then you can build your sub messages from there, and the rest of your campaign can really feed into that.
I absolutely love it, but it's one more justification of core principles you really need to follow. And I think,
Exactly.
this is where your core principles, which you mentioned just now, is a very strong foundation to most of the companies out there. And, these kind of principles, they always, not get in and out of attention. And you just highlighted how important they are. Thank you so much for it.
They really are. I mean, irrespective of any trends that are out there, one thing you should never do is overlook the fundamentals.
I love it. This is where we should have started, by the way.
Next time, next time.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Maria. It was really a
Thank
big
you.
pleasure having you with us.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor. I love 15-minute mastery, so I am delighted to be a guest.
Thanks.
Bye.